Boom, coming in hot on a Tuesday, Chinch. How we doing, brother? What's going on?
I don't know what to do with myself, dude. I am so fired up. This guy's one of the greatest freaking hitters in the history of the freaking game. Prided myself on trying to swing like him. I don't know what to do. Just go, man.
Hey,
Just go.
well, dude, listen. For me, man, this one means a ton to me because he knows it too. This is the reason I wanted to play Major League Baseball. This is the reason I wanted to play college baseball. Swear to God, when I saw him at Mississippi State back in '85, I was like, I want to play college baseball and then big league baseball. 303 career average. Should be in Cooperstown. Hopefully they take care of that here soon. Almost 2,200 hits in the big leagues. Closed it on 300 homers, 1,200 RBI, six-time All-Star, NLCS MVP in '89, Gold Glover, Silver Sluggers, number retired for the Giants. It's about time. 22 will never be worn again for the San Francisco Giants because this man right here, my idol, and many guys' idols back in this generation, number 22, Will the Thrill Clark. Let's go, baby. Woo! What's up, Thrill?
Gates, man, I appreciate it, bud. I appreciate it.
Dude, I honestly, I was, telling my family this morning, I'm like, I was like, even though I'm 48 years old, dude, I feel like I'm 15 right now, like giddy, like seriously, like, I look back at my life and I'm like, the reason I wanted to play, I remember I was 12 years old. I was with buddies after a, 12-year-old travel all-star game. We came down, we're watching ESPN and they did this clip of the '85 Mississippi State Bulldogs and you slid home, dude, and bam, you gave the Will Clark, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I'm like, who's this guy with the sweet swing? And I was like, they're like, that's Will Clark. And then I followed your career as you got to the Giants. And then all of a sudden, bro, I have every Sports Illustrated article of you and I ordered your poster. Dude, I just want to say, bro, absolute. And as we've become buddies over the years, man, just so grateful for how you played the game and what you meant to so many people of my generation. So just want to say thanks, dude. Real honestly.
Hey, you know what? I really appreciate the compliment. That means a lot. But, to see, the younger generation come up and kind of emulate how you play and do it the right way. You were one of those guys, Case, man. I love you to death. It's fun. It was fun watching your career and how you developed and became your own unbelievable major leaguer. So, off to you. You did a great job. And, I was just out there doing my thing like you were.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it. That means a lot coming from you. Dude, before we get into some stuff, I want to ask you, like, where did that intensity come from, man? Because it was so contagious and you had it your whole career. Like, were you playing with a chip on your shoulder? Was there something that was, what was driving you out there?
The one thing that my dad always told me, he said, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time, do it right to the utmost of your ability. And so I tried to do that. And then everything that we did, growing up, my dad and I, was a competition. If we played pool, we played marbles, whatever it was. And I think that competitive nature came out in the way I played baseball. You sit there and, as you well know, you stand in the batter's box, you look out there, and you got, 8 guys in front of you and, one guy behind you trying to get you out. So you had to have something going. And so it was kind of the intensity, the focus. And, when you did something good, you wanted to give it a fist pump or something like that, but you didn't want to show up the other guy too. So, it was a combination. It was a mix of both of those things. But, it was just a fact that, and I've told a lot of people this, when the bright lights are on, and it's the bottom of the ninth or, whatever it is, you want to be the man. You want to be up there. And that was my way of thinking all the time. I wanted the bat in my hands, as you well did as well. And, it just translated into the way we played.
Dude, I remember, it's so fun. Like, like I said, man, everything you did, I kind of emulated. I remember in an article that you said that if you don't want to be up with the game on the line, you shouldn't be playing. And dude, I took that too. I felt that same way a lot because of you said it. But like, hey man, if you don't want to be up with the game on the line, you shouldn't even be playing this game. Did you always have that aggressive, like I always get interested in the mindset of great hitters, and you were one of the best of all time. Like, what was your mindset up there? Was it aggressive? Was it, what were you thinking when you got in that box?
I was totally aggressive. When we were starting. It was before the advent of videotape. And so you really had to pay attention to the game. You had to watch, the opposing pitcher in the bullpen, how he's throwing down there. Then when he got out there on the mound, to throw his 8 warm-up pitches, you had to really pay attention and, formulate you a game plan, go up there and try to execute. And, then with the advent of videotape, it got a little bit easier to prepare. But at the same time, when, I stepped into the on-deck circle, it wasn't the batter's box, it was the on-deck circle. When I was in the on-deck circle, all hell broke loose. I mean, it's like, concentrate. You can yell at me, you can scream at me, the whole works. I am locked in right there. And you tried to take that up into the, the batter's box with you. So, that's kind of where the intensity started. And then, like we talked about, when you get that intense, manner when you're up at the plate, you want to have a pitch out over the plate where you can let that aggressiveness go. And, if for me personally, if it was, a ball off the plate, I'm going to let it go. But if it's a ball on the plate, hey, look, I'm wound up tight. Here it goes. This 35-inch, 33-ounce piece of wood's going to eat, baby. It's going to eat.
Hey, you were Thrill. You were so good, man, at covering those gaps. But your swing was so sweet too, kind of like the closed stance. But man, could you drive the ball to left center? Were you looking out there? Like, was your approach middle away, react in, or why were you so good at going the other way?
Growing up, that's a great question too. Growing up, I was the bail and whale guy, and I could handle anything, middle of the plate in. And then as you got a little bit older, I figured out, hey, look, I'm getting pitched away so much. And so I worked with a guy, his name was Barry Butera. He was a AAA batting champion for the AAA Red Sox. And he closed me up and started going more up the middle and the other way. And that actually, believe it or not, became my strength. And as you well know, being a big league hitter yourself, there's going to be 75 to 80% of the time they're going to try to get you out away. And so that kind of played into that strength. I was always an up the middle, over the shortstop kind of guy, like you just talked about. Mm-hmm. And then if it was a ball on the inside part of the plate, I'd react in and pull the ball.
Yeah, man. I love that. I love that approach. It was such a great piece you had on No Filter. I was watching the other day, one of the clips, when you were talking about the story about Brandon Crawford. It's like, hey man, you couldn't hit nowadays. And I was like, I made a comment. I don't know if you saw. I was like, you could freaking take a bazooka up to Will Clark at 150, and he's gonna turn that shit around. That's all I know. Like when Crawford said that, because people say that to me too. Well, guys are throwing harder now. I'm like, dude, we could hit velocity. You know what I mean? Tell me about when Crawford said that to you, like what your thought was on that.
That's for me. I was like totally shocked. I was like, seriously, I'm like, that would be like me telling Willie Mays or Willie McCovey, hey, you couldn't turn a fastball around. It's like, are you serious? Are you freaking insane? Do you know who we face? And look, I'm here with some of our minor league teams right now. I'm with the Richmond, Virginia team, which is our AA team. And every now and then somebody will say that in the clubhouse. And I'm like, dude, the stuff that you're seeing out here every day, we saw it every day. I said, The only thing is we got better at our craft and we could turn it around. And as you well know, because you came in on that side of the era where, they'd give a little off the plate. And if Greg Maddux is throwing, he'd give 6-8 inches off the plate. And if you did not move around in the batter's box or anything like that, you're going to have your butt handed to you. So for me personally, I moved around a little bit in the batter's box. I could handle the ball off the plate if I needed to, but yet at the same time, I'm still looking for a ball out over the plate to handle.
I love it. It is true, man. I remember facing Glavin sometimes. I'd be like, I was like, that's 3 inches off. Then I was like 4 inches off. I'm like, I had to start literally, I was basically on the plate. I'm like, are they going to call me out because my foot's like on the plate basically? But I can't cover that unless I start getting on it some more, Yeah,
no, and it's and hey, look, that was part of it back then. You got a Hall of Famer out on the mound. He's eating up the outside corner. The umpire wants to start giving him a little bit more because he don't want a 4-hour ball game. He wants this thing to roll right along so he can go get a beer. So look, we got to move around the batter's box and cover whatever we covered. Well, that was my argument to Brandon Crawford. I said, nowadays, you modern hitters, you got a freaking big ass white box. that's on the TV screen, right? I said, it has to go through that white box. I said, I wish we had a white box. I said, if we had a white box, I might have hit 350.
Well, the other thing is, you guys, especially you two guys, but generally your generation, you guys did not get embarrassed by striking out. I feel like these guys do not give a crap about that. Do you agree with that?
No, you are completely correct. You know, they walk back to the dugout like, oh, no big deal. And for me personally, I know Case was the same way.
Oh.
So I thought it was a failure because not only did I let myself down, but I let the team down. I didn't put a ball in play. I did not let, the defense on the other side of things handle the baseball. I didn't go, let's say, deep in a count to let my teammate observe, what kind of pitches this guy's throwing, what velocity he's got. So for me, a strikeout was a big failure. And look, don't get me wrong. I started out my career striking out a lot, but I cut them down every year over the course of my big league career.
Yeah, I was embarrassed. I don't know. I just felt like I was embarrassed to punch out. Like, and when people say, "Well, how'd you do it?" Like, you didn't strike out that much, and I said, "Well, dude, I when I got the 2 strikes, you had to beat me in the catcher's mitt. Like, I wasn't going to beat myself out front, and you find yourself running into some home runs because the guy's trying to bury a slider, he ends up hanging it, and I'm letting it travel a little bit more, and bam, I'm catching it off that front leg and driving it. But dude, I hated striking out, dude. Like, I was embarrassed. If you punched me out, I was embarrassed. Like, I didn't like it.
Yeah, and then not only that, too, you and I even talked about it, 2 cases. When you got 2 strikes, we would do things like, come up off the knob of the bat, give you a little bit more bat control, maybe spread out just a little bit more. If you were a guy with a big leg lift, you cut your leg lift down just a little bit. Anything to give you, like you just said, a little bit more time to see the ball, make it be a strike, because if it's not a strike, guess what? I'm getting back into the count. I'm getting back into this at-bat. So, there were little ways to battle to where you did not give up, and on top of that, make the at-bat productive, go longer in the at-bat, see more pitches like we talked about, so that the guy behind you can see what velocity, what the break of the ball is, all of that.
Yeah. Speaking of, I want to go back really quick to your Mississippi State team because it was an incredible team. Yeah, you, Rafael Palmeiro, Jeff Brantley, Bobby Thigpen, those are the only guys I knew. But I'm like, it has to be one of the greatest college teams of all time. What do you remember back from Mississippi State, and like, how did that? Because you were a 4th round pick by the Kansas City Royals, right, in out of high school, which is incredible. Yeah. But how did that time with those guys kind of set you up to play in the big leagues?
Well, you know what? It set you up to play in the big leagues because we were playing in the SEC. SEC has unbelievable baseball competition, as it does today. And so you got to play kind of at the next level. It was very similar to playing in the minor leagues. And so for me personally, that was something that made me a better ball player. I had coming out of high school, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't sign. I mean, I had never been away from home. I was, kind of a homebody, used to my own thing. And then now going to Mississippi State, and being, 4.5 hours away from home and then having to travel in the SEC, it got me used to another life that led to a pro baseball career. But, for that Mississippi State team, I mean, I had Rafael Palmeiro in front of me for 1 year or 2 years, actually. And then he was behind me for a year. Bobby Thigpen hit in the 5-hole before he even became our reliever. And Jeff Brantley, his junior or his senior, my junior, he went 18-1 in the SEC. So, I mean, just playing at that level, preparing you for pro ball. And Mississippi State was the stepping stone for me, and I can never thank them enough.
That's awesome, man. Dude, so right after Mississippi State, brother, you hit the big leagues pretty quickly, and your first at-bat's against Nolan Ryan. First off, just take us back to that, man. I don't even want to even say anything about it. What was going through your mind, and just take us back to that first at-bat in the big leagues.
Dude, as you well know, I mean, your first at-bat in the big leagues or your first at-bat anywhere. I mean, first at-bat during the season, whatever. It's like a big deal. You get the butterflies and all that. And so here I am, a 21-year-old, 22-year-old rookie facing Nolan Ryan. Oh my God, So walk up to home plate, and he did the best thing he could ever done. First pitch was a breaking ball for a strike, and it sort of caught me off guard. But at the same time, I saw the ball real well, and so I stepped out the batter's box and took a deep breath, and I started smiling. And the catcher looks up at me and goes, "What you smiling at?" And I go, "The Express is throwing me curveballs." So one of those things. So the next pitch was a fastball. He missed up and away. And then the third pitch was a fastball. I just got too much at the plate. And when I hit it, oh my God, Case, when you catch one dead center, dude, it makes God awful. Just, and I'm running down to first base and I can see the outfielder going back. And I'm like, no way. And it went out of center field at the Astrodome, which was
it's a bomb
graveyard,
Right.
And I was like, I can't freaking believe that, and I'm running around the bases, right? And I touch home plate, a high five, I get a point up in the stands to my mom and dad, get to the bench, high five everybody, and I'm sitting down. And every time like a big event happened in my life, especially with baseball, I don't know why, I had this calm come over me, and I sit down on the bench, and that calm came over me, and then I started thinking. I looked to my left, and it was Chili Davis, and I go, Chili, he's going to drill me next time. He goes, oh, hell yeah. And he was in his windup next at bat, and I was like, oh.
Did he drill you next to bat?
He threw one up and in, dude. He buzzed the tower big time, but I kind of knew it was coming thanks to Chili.
So you weren't even thinking about swinging. You're just protecting
your hell no. I just wanted to see the ball and see where it was in relation to my head because I was out of there.
That's so great, dude. That's so great. Dude, you hit 333 with 6 bombs off Nolan. Like, did he ever drill you? It sounded like...
Oh, yeah. He got me good. 1988 was a good year off of him. I hit multiple homers off of him in 88, and I think he had enough of me, and he caught me right in between the shoulder blades with about a 1,000-mile-an-hour and I was running down to first base, and the first thing I said, keep your head down. Don't look at the big bastard. Keep your head down. Don't look at him. Because I know he was over there, and he's staring at me like, I know he was doing that, and I just kept my head down with the first.
He was saying, come on out here, big boy. Yeah. Come on out.
So you even laugh about that, right? So then, a few years later, Robin Ventura famously, goes out to the mound and gets whooped,
Bad idea.
So Robin's with the White Sox, and he comes over to first base. He got a base hit. He comes over to first. I go, dude, what were you thinking? He goes, I wasn't thinking. He said, I took like 3 steps out, and he said, shit, I guess I got to finish this. And I said, well, when you went out there, I said, why'd you put your head down and get freaking uppercutted 10 times,
It was like RV went out there, stuck his head in his shoulder so Nolan could just unload on him.
Nolan got him in the headlock and just worked him over. I'm like, seriously? Hold your head up. Get a punch or 2 in.
Oh, my God. That is so good. It's so good. Dude, so I have so many ways I want to go here. One of the other stories that obviously was, one of the biggest moments of, when we look back, was that big brawl against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
You slid into second. Well, and when we were playing, we were taught, like, you got to get somebody in the air. You got to take somebody out at second. Obviously, they've changed that rule so much now. But the slide into second when you into Jose Akendo, and then Ozzy's there, all hell breaks loose. But isn't there? I know there's more of a story to that. Maybe the day before something happened too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, you got it exactly right. So the day before, the Cardinals are up like 7 or 8 runs in the 8th inning, and Vince Coleman's on first. We play behind him, and back then, Vince was going for the stolen base crown, and if you stole a base, it didn't matter whether it was uncontested or not. You got the stolen base. So right. Vince steals second and third with us playing behind him, up by 8 or 7 or whatever it was in the 8th inning. So Matt Williams and I are screaming at him at the top of our lungs. We're like, we're going to drill you. We're going to drill you, And the next day we don't drill him, And so now the roles are reversed. We're up like, 4 or 5 runs in the 7th, I think it was. And so I said, I was on first base. Candy Maldonado was the hitter. I said, if he hits a ground ball right here, I'm going to get somebody. And The rule back then was, all you had to do is be able to touch the bag with your hand or your foot, or as long as you could touch the bag, you were good to go get somebody. And I could touch the bag as I was going by it. Shall we say, and made contact with Okendo. He took reception. I came up and I got him with a Nolan Ryan uppercut.
Yeah, he did.
Got him pretty good. And Ozzy's running around behind me, freaking slapping me in the helmet. Then we had all hell break loose. I'm on the ground, and all of a sudden you look up, and if you guys ever look at that videotape, it's pretty cool. If you look up, you'll see the first guy on the ground with me is Dusty Baker.
It's amazing.
Come on.
Dusty was our first base coach. He made a freaking beeline, dude. And he was on the ground with me throwing blows. And then you see Maldonado come over the top, and he cleaned out the block.
I have one question I've always wanted to ask you about this. Ozzy took a really nice right cross at you, and you weren't facing him. Did you duck it, or did you just happen to move at the exact same point?
You know what? If he'd caught me with that one, he'd have caught me pretty damn good. But it just so happened that when he was right crossing, that's when I was leaning in to hit Okendo and diss me. And I was like, And so all right, so now check this one out, Case. So now later on, right, I get traded over to the Cardinals. Jose Oquendo's my third base coach. Dude, we go out, we have beers, we're laughing and giggling, like, you got me a good one there. I was like, yeah, we should have drilled Vince, but we didn't drill Vince. He goes, I know, I was expecting to have Vince drilled too, So we had a lot of fun with that.
Oh, it's so great. It's such a great video because, like you said, when you gingerly side, like, over the base, and when they kind of look at you, and you're
gingerly. It wasn't gingerly.
I know.
It was full on as fast as I could go. And I hit the ground, and that powdery, from Cincinnati, that powdery, dirt. When you hit it, you just keep going.
Keep going.
I'm going to wind up out here in left field.
Well, dude, what's great when you're laying there and you're just kind of laying there still looking up, and they're like, what the hell? You're like, what?
Hey, I took you out. That's like Roberto Alomar.
Yeah.
Roberto Alomar, first time he's playing second base for the Padres, right? I was watching him, over the course of his career, and he always liked to come across the bag, on a double play ball. So we have a double play ball, and I cheat on the inside part of the bag. He comes across the bag, and I literally just reached up and grabbed him and just pulled his ass down to the ground, and he don't complete the double play. And he's like, he grabbed me. And I said, welcome to the big leagues, son. I turned around and ran off. After that, every time I got on first base, I'd look at Roberto Alomar, and he's like, "You'll not get me this time." And I tell you one thing, I got him a few more times. He tried to go to the back of the bag, and the inside the bag, the outside the bag. I still got his ass.
Those are the days, bro, where you could go in hard and put your elbow up and sometimes get your tower buzz. Whoa.
Yeah.
With
hey,
it
look,
right by your face.
And it was a respect thing, and I got to tip my cap to these guys. Hey, they come in there and they'd freaking low bridge you. They like, you better get your ass on the ground. And now, and you and I kind of talk about this. Eric Burns and I talk about this. They're babyfying the sport. You can't go into second base and hit anybody like like we did before, and you can't help your team out. You can't break up a double play to prevent the runner at first being out and stuff like that. So these baby-pied rules, man, they pissing me off.
Yeah, I miss that. I think that was a good part of the game. Even the plays at the plate, I thought was a good part of the game. What about the new rules, Thrill? What do you think about them? The pitch clock, the shift, all that stuff.
I get where they're coming from, but hey, look, you also look at it this way. You're trying to speed the game up. For what reason are you trying to speed the game up? You do know that if you have more commercials, you make more money. So wouldn't it behoove you to have longer games and get more commercials to make more money? So this is a lot of bullshit that's going on right now. Why they make the bags bigger, I have no earthly idea. And if they think they're out trying to outsmart everybody, are a bunch of doofuses. All right. But then, like the pitch count and the pitch clock and all that sort of stuff. All right, they don't want everybody, doing the Red Sox-Yankees deal where it takes 4.5 hours to play a 9-inning game. I get it. But at the same time, you're penalizing all the rest of the guys who are doing it the right way.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting to see how these the rules will all work out. You talked earlier about Matt Williams, and dude, it's funny. Fun story. When I first got called to big leagues in '97, I love the Giants because of you. So I was following Matt Williams and Robbie Thompson and all these guys, you know. And when I came up to the big leagues, dude, I walk in the clubhouse in Chicago. We're playing at Comiskey Park, and Matt Williams is a third baseman for the Indians at the time. And bro, he's the first guy I connect eyes with. And I shake his hand. Hey, I'm Sean Casey. It was the first time Thrill. I was speechless. I was like, oh, and he was like, hey, Matt Williams, and I was like, oh, big Giants fan. I was a big Giants fan. He was probably like, who the hell is this guy? I didn't know what to say, but I was like, hey, I was a big Giants fan growing up, you know, and it's just so funny. Can you talk about, I want you to talk about two guys, Matt Williams at third base, and what was it like playing with Barry Bonds, man? Because, you know, I know you had a good relationship with Barry, but you know, what were those two guys like as teammates?
You know what? First off, you know, I love Matt to death, and I got to give him a tip of the cap and a best of luck because he's going through a little colon cancer. He had some surgery earlier this year. So, you know, tip of the cap to Matt.
Yes.
What a great ball player. Not only he and I lived together for a year, so we got to be really good friends. We lived together during the off season. He came down to New Orleans because I had a lot of batting practice pitchers. And, you know, he came down there and we got a lot of batting practice together. We worked out together. Great human being. Loved him. The best defensive third baseman I ever played with. I could literally case, I mean, no matter where he threw from, if he threw from behind the bag, on the run, going against the glove, whatever, all I had to do was hold my glove in the middle of my chest, and that's where the ball was going to be. Unbelievable. Unbelievable human being. I love him to death, and, you know, I wish him the best right now. Yeah. You know, guy you mentioned, Robbie Thompson, same thing, second baseman, man, just cover all kinds of ground, catch everything at Candlestick. I mean, I was fortunate enough that as a younger ball player, had these guys on the infield with me, just made me a better infielder and got me kind of spoiled, you know, because from San Fran, I went to Texas and I had infielders that had no earthly idea where the ball was going. I had to do a little teaching over there at first base. So Barry Bonds, oh my God, what can I say? By far and away, without a shadow of a doubt, the best ball player I've ever played with. He could do it all. You talk about five-tool guy. He was the ultimate five-tool guy. Speed, power, throwing, outfield play. I mean, the whole works. And, you know, I played against him, you know, in Pittsburgh for a bunch of years. And he came over there in 1993 and became the MVP. He hit in the 5 slot, and he had myself and Matt Williams in front of him. And if I could tell you how many 2- and 3-run homers he hit that year, it was absolutely amazing because, you know, I mean, I had a 400 and something on base percentage. Matt was way up there, and Barry was just reaping RBIs.
Wow. Dude, I was talking to Bernsey, and he was telling me a story that you had mentioned about there was a time where I think you were struggling going the other way, and Bonds was struggling pulling the ball, or you guys had got vice versa. Okay, vice versa. Yeah, tell me that story.
Okay, so now, you know, this is 93, all right? So, you know, I got 8 years in the big leagues. Barry's got 7. He's got 3 MVPs, whatever. He's working on his 4th. And, you know, I was having problems pulling the ball down the right field line. I was hooking them foul. And Barry was just hitting these god-awful freaking, I mean, straight 2-irons right down the right field line. And I'm like, all right, I got to figure out what he's doing. And then vice versa. I was swinging the bat well going the other way, and then he was having a little problems going the other way. So we got in the back of the plane coming back from somewhere, and I'm like, hey, B, you know, we need to talk. And he's like, all right. And so we stood in the back of the plane the whole plane flight on with a few beers, and we talked strategy. I mean, how to pull your hands in, how to do this, how to do that. And so he said, look, Thrill, he goes, let's do this. He goes, let's go out to the ballpark tomorrow. He says, I'll meet you out early. I'm like, all right. So we got to the ballpark at 1 p.m. for a 7 o'clock game. We had, you know, one of these big, huge baskets of baseballs and a tee. And he walked me through everything that he did on the ball in. And I started doing it in case for the rest of my career. I mean, you're talking about 8-9 years for the rest of my career. I probably pulled 10 balls foul down the right field line. Everything else I kept straight because of the lessons that he taught me. And vice versa. He wanted to know about how to go the other way and all that sort of stuff. And we talked the same exact strategy about keeping your hands inside the ball, but getting extended and going that way and all that. And then he started raking shit to left center, you know? So it's two athletes kind of at the top of their career, but they're trying to make themselves better. They look in the mirror and they go, hey, look, I'm doing really well, but I can do better. And hey, look, this guy's the best in the sport. Let me go ask him. And that's how it worked out that way.
What did he tell you, Thrill, about that pulling that ball inside?
All right. So bottom hand for me would be my right hand. All you right-handers, it's the left hand. All right. So when you swing, let me see if I can get my camera out a little further.
Yeah.
So when you swing, you pull your hands inside the baseball. And notice my elbow's down. My elbow's not up. You pull your hands inside the baseball, and the barrel of the bat follows your hands. So what you do is you create a square piece of contact. Once your hands come through, then the barrel's coming through. The barrel is going to be absolutely perfectly straight to contact. Boom, like this. Instead of when I was coming through contact, because the barrel was getting out in front of my hands instead of behind my hands. So when I was in contact, I was making contact like this instead of being more square on.
Wow.
And that's how I was hooking them foul, and Barry helped me correct that.
Wow, that is awesome, dude.
Very awesome.
So from now on, and that's what I'm doing here. Like I said, in Richmond with these guys, these are the kind of little tips I'm telling them. Look, pull your hands inside the ball. If you pull your hands inside the ball, you're going to start hitting 2 irons, and you're not going to hook the ball and lose distance.
Where'd you keep your knuckles? Case, we talked about this the other day. Were you knuckles here, or did it matter to you? Does it matter to you?
I was more of a comfort guy. I wanted to be comfortable up there. And at the point, let me see if I can get out a little further. At the point of contact, I wanted like palm up and palm down, and so you're getting extended kind of this way instead of rolling your hands like that. And once you start rolling, as you well know, Case, when you hit a baseball, it gets past the infield and it goes. It's like tennis hitting a topspin. You lose you can catch the ball dead center, but you lose all your distance. And so for me, that's why the palm up, palm down, and getting through the baseball. How I did that, I just got my knuckles kind of comfortable. But if you see guys, and Case knows this, if you see guys that do the bat wrap, if they start wrapping their hands in there, you got to correct that immediately.
Yep. Yeah, that's what get into big time trouble, because you start losing the zone. You're in and out too fast, and probably one pitch you can hit is that ball that's at your chest.
Yep. So here's another one, a perfect example too. One of my best friends in baseball, and the reason being because we couldn't get his ass out, he was at first base all the time, was Tony Gwynn. And Tony, oh my God, if I could tell you how many times I watched him take early BP. And I just asked him question after question after question. And his big thing was, and this goes back to all of you idiots with the launch angle, all right, which are a bunch of morons. Okay? What you want to do is you want to stay flat through the zone. You want to go flat through the zone because I can hit the ball at point A, point B, point C, and just keep going, all right? If you are coming up at the ball, you have 1 point of contact, and it's either a swing and a miss, or it's a homer, or it's a pop-up, one or the other, one of those 3. But if I'm staying flat through the zone, I can hit the ball deep, middle, out in front, and I can still drive all 3 of those. And that's why you are not seeing as many 300 hitters in the big leagues now as when you and I, Case, when we played. When we took pride in hitting 300. We took pride in battling these at-bats out, and these guys don't now.
What do you say to the guys that say, hitting 300, that's not a big a deal. It's all about on-base percentage.
That's bullshit.
Right.
On-base percentage is a direct result of hitting well.
Right.
On-base percentage is not a direct effect of taking a base on balls. If you're hitting well, all right, you're hitting 300, you're going to get pitched tougher. You're going to get more walks because you're getting pitched tougher. If you're just a guy that, I'm hitting 220, dude, they're going to challenge the hell out of you. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of homers because they're challenging the hell out of you because you're not that good of a hitter. If you're hitting 300, then you got to work your ass off to get you good base hits.
Yeah, and I'm saying too. Listen, if you're 300 hitters, they're hitting the 1 and 2 starters. They're hitting the closers at the end of the game. They're hitting in the postseason. You know, how many times do you see a lineup nowadays, Thrill, that has hey, listen, during the season, they do well because they're hitting the 4 and 5 starters, but come postseason time, there's so many strikeouts and they're 220, 230. Guess what? You're not hitting the best hitters in the game, your best pitchers in the game. You're hitting the mediocre ones. Your team's not winning in the postseason with those guys. I'm sorry.
You are so correct, Case. You are so correct. And on top of that, check this one out. You and I grew up in an era where it didn't matter who was on the mound. We're going to take our at bats.
Right.
Andy Johnson, Nolan Ryan. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether it's left or right. My job is to go up there and hit. And so I'm going to go up there and hit. And believe it or not, you and I talked about this, a few years back, was I'd rather face a left-hander when I was going bad because my mechanics better. I saw the ball longer, stuff like that. And so, to face a lefty, it was just as much of a challenge as facing a righty. Nowadays, you see all of these, platoon lineups and all that. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, look, this guy, he might not have great numbers, but guess what? He might have that day today. He might have that day today. Put him in a lineup,
Right. And how do you hit lefties? You got to play against them. If I come up as a minor leaguer and all of a sudden I have 2 bad games against a lefty and you make me a platoon player, well, how the hell am I going to hit lefties if I don't play against them? And you make this story up that you got to platoon guys. I think that's such crap.
Yeah, and totally agree with you. Couldn't pat you on the back ever more for that statement right there.
Yeah.
You have to play against lefties and righties. Doesn't matter. Because for me personally, not only as an instructor, but now as an evaluator, I need to see what you can do from the left side and the right side.
Exactly. What was it like at Candlestick, dude? I look at your numbers, bro, and the case for your Hall of Fame numbers are incredible. And 137 OPS plus park adjusted. I played in Candlestick 1 year in '98, and I'm like, I remember the ball going up, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, thing was swelling everywhere. Even the infield wasn't that great. I'm like, how do people hit the ball out here? Can you talk about that, dude? Because I really believe your numbers, how incredible they were, Thrill. I honestly believe they would have been like exponentially better had Candlestick not been your home park.
Yeah, no, I gotta give you another props on that one. Candlestick was one of those ballparks when you played there. You just kind of knew it. I mean, it's going to cost you some homers and some RBIs because there are certain days that you're going to go up to home plate and you're not going to be able to hit a cannon out of there. And then there's other days where it played fair. And so, I mean, it would literally be, you catch one day and the right fielder comes running in on it. And the next day you catch the same exact ball that's 40 runs deep. So Candlestick was unbelievable. The wind and the elements that you had to play in, the fog, the misty rain, always 45 degrees. So, I mean, you had plenty of challenges. And like you said, the infield wasn't that great. And then, the 49ers started playing on it, and it looked like a freaking infield out there. You had to watch your lips. I couldn't tell you how many bad hops came up by the face and stuff like that. So, it was an interesting place to play. It was a great place to play. And, I told everybody, and especially, when I did my retirement speech, I said, Candlestick made me a man. It made me the ball player that I am because you had to deal with so much that's going on around you and yet focus on the baseball.
Yeah. What was the thrill? What was that like for you, man? Getting your number retired last year. It was last year, right? 22 forever will be retired up in the rafters with McCovey, Willie Mays, some of the greats. What was that like for you?
You know what? I told everybody in my speech, and I mean it till this day, that was my Hall of Fame. To have your number retired by the organization that you spent the most time with, the organization that you work for, the organization that you really respect. That's the ultimate compliment. And, to have your number retired and go up there on the board and just the way the numbers line up, I'm right there next to number 24, Willie Mays, the greatest that's ever been, it really is the ultimate compliment. And, till this day, when I go back to the ballpark, I got to keep looking up, make sure that the line hasn't fallen down or something.
Was it hard to write the speech? Were you scared to write the speech? You had to write a speech too, Case, for when you got into the whole thing. Were you terrified, or you were excited to talk about all the people that helped you out along the way?
You know, I was excited. I was excited. The Giants actually told me about it in 2019, and we were going to do it in 2020. Needless to say, COVID hit, and I literally had the speech written in 2 or 3 days. I mean, because I do a lot. I do a lot of public speaking, and so you know, I'm pretty well organized as far as that goes. And I knew that I didn't want to make it about me. Everybody knows why we're here. We're here because, you know, of the stuff that went on the field. But I didn't want to make it about me. I wanted to make it about, hey, look, you don't get a chance to thank the organization, your family, your teammates. You don't get a chance to thank them. Now I have a stage right now where I can thank them, you know. And at the end of the speech, then I said, hey, look, yeah, all right. I am Will the Thrill Clark, and I am part of San Francisco, you know, and I am forever a Giant. And then the place freaking
went crazy.
It went crazy. And so my daughter had not been born, you know, when I was playing. My son saw me play a little bit. My daughter had not seen me play. And, you know, I told her to, you know, kind of pay attention, you know, because something like this is like really awe-inspiring. And when she was on the field after that, you know, she was in tears and she was like, Daddy, I did not know. And I was like, yeah, baby. I said, that is Will the Thrill right there, baby.
Yeah, you don't just get the nickname Thrill if you're freaking hitting bloopers out there. You get the nickname Thrill if you're bringing the crowd to their feet every night.
Yeah, and you don't have 40,000 in the stands with your jersey on at the same time. You know?
Yeah. Oh, God, dude, that's so incredible. Let's go.
Cool. I'm sorry you couldn't be there, man, but it was awesome. It was awesome.
Dude, I was so excited for you, bro. I sent you that text the day before just to say, just to say, like I said when I started this, thank you for all you did. Like, I'm so excited that your number was getting retired, and it was such a big thing. You know, I want to kind of stay there with your family a little bit because, you know, a lot of people would say, hey, man, if Will Clark had played 4 or 5 more years, bam, book it, slam dunk, Cooperstown. We're not even having a talk. Doesn't have to go to the Veterans Committee, not even close. But there was, a big reason that you retired was your son, Trey, at the time. Can you talk about that a little bit? Do you have any regrets about that and that decision that you made, walking away, hitting 330 your last year?
Yeah, no. I wish I hit 330. I hit 350.
350.
I was loving life. Hey, look, the one thing is, our son is a little autistic. He's doing great now. Doing wonderful. Matter of fact, believe it or not, he's here with me in Richmond, and he's going to be our bat boy tonight too. So
that's great.
But I had accomplished so much on the baseball field, and then at a certain point in time, you have to be home. You have to be hubby. You have to be father. And, he needed me at home. We had seen a lot of improvement in him the year before during the off season. And so, it was in the back of my brain that I was going to retire. And, I started out with the Orioles that year. I was doing well. The team was doing kind of crappy. And I told my wife, I said, this is it. I kind of the writings on the wall. And then I got traded to St. Louis. And it was like balls to the wall. It was like back in hog heaven. I moved back into the 4th slot in the lineup, was able to do a little damage in there. But, then I told my wife, I said, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out on top of the mountain. I'm not going to go out trying to get to the top again. And so, I decided to retire, and I looked around. The Cardinals wanted me back, but McGuire was coming back after surgery. And so they said I'd have to be an outfielder or a utility guy, and that was the old dog new tricks thing.
Yeah.
And the other teams that were out there free agent wise were Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. And so I said, you know what? I'm going home. I'm going to be daddy and hubby. And looking back on it, it's the best decision I ever did because my son's doing great right now.
Yeah, it's so great, man. So great. Yeah, you're right. Family first. At the end of the day, it's nice to be.
You're right. You're right. I mean, I could have been there, 2, 3, 4 more years. I'd have been over 300. I'd have probably been close to 1,500 RBIs. Still going to be hitting 3 bills, but that wasn't my focus. My focus was on my family.
That's why who you are, man. That says so much right there, man. Incredible. Last night, I don't know if you saw Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge last night was hitting, and he had 2 home runs against the Blue Jays, and he peaked. he peeked back twice, and the camera caught him. Yeah. Oh yeah, bro. And yeah, can you see Chinch's when he watch this right here? Can you see him look? He's gonna look back. Right there, you see him? See him look? Oh yeah, bro. And the next pitch, Thrill, he hit one so freaking far. I mean, dude, it was a blast, dead center. And they were talking about it on air. They're like, "Oh, what's he doing? What's he doing?" Next pitch, boom, crushes it. And so it was kind of the big story, dude. You have a great story back with Gary Carter. Oh, yeah. I believe the story is. Can you tell us that about the peeking stuff?
I'm glad you brought that up, Case. That's awesome. So Gary Carter, I mean, when you get up to home plate, he'd love to talk because he tried to distract you all the time, right? And we're in Montreal, and he's just, I mean, yickety yakking back there. And I said, Gary, give me a break. I said, take it easy, calm down. It's at bat. I said, I don't need to listen to it. And he just one of them numbers. He just kept it up, right? So Dennis Martinez is on the mound, so I'm up there, and sure enough, I get up there, and I like kind of peek down in between my arms, and Gary didn't see it, but Martinez saw it. He goes, "Hey, he's peeking," and Gary looks up at me. He goes, "Are you looking down at the signs?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Because I told you to shut up." And I said, "You're still steadily talking." He goes, "Well, we're going to drill you." And I go, "Yeah." And I said, "When you come up, we're going to drill you." He goes, "But I didn't do anything." I said, you haven't shut up yet." So next pitch, I knew it's coming. So I just turned, wham, Dennis drills me. I go down to first base. No problem. Here comes Carter up next time up. Wham, we drill him. He comes down to first base. I said, "Okay, is it over or we need to keep going?" He goes, "No, it's over, Thrill. It's over. I'll be quiet." I'm like, "All right."
That's great. That's so great. That's so great. The greatest part is that he got a chance to come down to first, and you had that conversation. Hey, is it over?
Exactly. And then later in his career, Carter and I become teammates, and we laughed and giggled. Like we said, we had beers about it and all that sort of stuff. And he told me at that time, he said, "I really respected you for that." He said, "Because you knew it was coming, you took it, and you went to first." And I was like, "Yeah, that's part of the game,
That's so great. That's so great, man. I love that. It was part of the game, It was, now it's made.
Now, and you well know. I mean, yeah. You guys know. Judge just peeked down. All right, it's legitimate. He looked down. All right. How do you go about policing that? Can we hit him now or what?
Right. Right. So, that's how you police it, right? I mean, probably he's going to have to wear one. Yeah.
Now you can't retaliate no more. You retaliate, boom, you're going out the game.
Well,
there'll be warnings. Yeah.
On that, what about?
And on top of that, it's kind of. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like, the quarterback with the red jersey. Okay, you can't touch the quarterback. It's like, oh, you can't touch the big stars. No, back in the day, you could touch anybody you wanted to. You got drilled.
So where's your take on like the bat flips? And Bryce Harper got into it with the pitcher who was clapping the other day.
Oh my God!
What do you got?
That the bat flips, and then we had one earlier in the year, and Case knows because Eric Burns and I were on No Filter, just pounding this guy. The guy Jazz Chisholm. From hit a 3-run homer against us late in the game, and he did a 32-second home run trot where he's blowing kisses and he's shooting 3-pointers and he's doing head fakes and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh my God. I said, back in the day, we'd have had him drilled. That's first off. He'd been drilled. Then he's going to come down to first base, and I'm going to call at least 3 pickoff throws in a row, and I'm going to catch the ball, and I'm going to whack him upside the head one time. I'm going to whack him in his elbow one time, and I'm going to say, "Hey, you got the message yet?"
That's awesome.
I know. Those
so
are the
that's my take on the home run trap.
Love it.
The good old days. Oh, I love it, dude. I love it. Hey, Thrill, we do a thing.
Hey, look, and you brought it up earlier. You even brought it up earlier. Look at I mean, there was some walk-offs where you stood and watched them. But when we hit them, we ran. Watch Matt Williams' home run trot.
Oh,
whack,
he sprinted.
He sprinted around the bases.
Yeah.
He tried not to show anybody up.
I was big on that too. Because of Matt Williams watching it, I was like, as soon as I homered it, I knew I got you. I still would sprint around the bases. Just,
look,
yeah.
that's the great part about you. You get it. All right, look, I was up at plate to do a job. I did my job.
Right.
All right, I'm not going to show anybody up. Let's get the next guy up to home plate.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's the truth. Dude, we play a game on the mayor's office called "Who Owned You and Who Did You Own?" Who owned you? Who owned Will Clark and who did Will Clark own?
All right, we got that. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
So ownership is, oh God, he and I were teammates, and I don't know why I just had problems getting hits off of him. Was Terry Mulholland when he went
Terry
with the
Mulholland? Yes.
Really?
Oh, it was like a 1 for 24 or something like that. And it was kind of pretty ugly.
39.
Might have been, I don't know.
39 bats.
But it was pretty ugly. And let's see, the other way around, there was one or two guys. One of them, Kevin Millwood from the Atlanta Braves. At one point, I was like, I don't know, 8 for 10 with like 4 homers, and then I added 2 more homers off of it. Millwood didn't like me.
Oh my God!
And,
5 for 8 with 4 home runs.
The other guy too, believe it or not, is the quarterback's dad, Mahomes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. His dad, Pat. I beat on him pretty good too.
So Pat Mahomes and Kevin Millwood. Hey, dude. Also Nolan Ryan. I mean, I know 333 with 6 bombs off Nolan Ryan. That ain't too shabby.
Yeah, no, I'm the active career leader in homers off of Nolan. And, you know, I go over to Texas in 94. Nolan had blown out his arm in 93. So they signed him to a 10-year personal services contract. And, you know, so in 94, you know, Nolan would come in the clubhouse every now and then, go talk to some of the guys and, hey, how you doing and all that. And he'd walk right by me. And so all my teammates were like, hey, dude, what's up with you and Nolan? I go, hey, it's a hitter-pitcher thing. Don't worry about it.
There's a great You and Oral Hershiser in his prime had a very interesting. You hit 324 off him, Casey. 24 for 74, but he struck you out more than any other guy 18 times. Yeah. So it's like you guys.
Yeah, all right. So perfect example. Perfect example. Great analogy right there. So Case and I, all right, we're first basemen. Who comes down to first base? Every freaking hitter in the league, right? So I am really scuffling against Hershiser my first few years. I don't even know if I got a hit off of him. And I struck out a boatload. I mean, a boatload off of him. And this is before he blew out his shoulder. He had a freaking turbo sinker at about 93, over the top curveball and a changeup. And I wasn't on the same page with him. And so one day I get Keith Hernandez down to first base, and I noticed that he had freaking worn out Hershiser the week before. And so I got down to first base and I said, hey, Keith, you know, how you hit Hershiser? He goes, Will, he goes, man, that turbo sinker's just biting. He says, and I just keep beating it in the dirt. He said, so I said, hell with it. And I start swinging at the curveball. He said, and I start whacking the curveball. I'm like, oh, that made all the sense in the world, because that was kind of what I was doing. If I did hit the ball off of him, you know, I'd beat it in the dirt. So I started looking breaking ball, and Podney was like, game on after that. Like, wow. Like,
oh my God. But was your approach mostly hunt the fastball though, unless it was somebody that was devastating?
No, I was a look for pitches guy. I did a lot of work in the video room. I spent at least an hour in the video room every day trying to figure out patterns on guys, and I would hunt pitches and locations. So especially with runners in scoring position, I wanted to know where he was going and what pitches he was going to. So let's say if you get a guy, I'll give you a guy like, oh shoot, I'm not just a guy who throws a good slider. Okay,
right.
If he's throwing a 1-0 slider or a 2-1 slider, you know, to a lot of guys in the lineup, I'm sitting slider the whole at bat till I get 2 strikes, and especially sitting slider if there's runners in scoring position, because I know he's not going to throw the slider in because he doesn't want to make mistakes, so it's going to be away. So I'm sitting slider away, and that's the kind of temperament that I had in order to get a lot of RBIs.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. I get that. I get asked this.
In case you know it too, because you talk to Bernsey a lot. Bernsey talks about just hunting the fastball. Well, dude, there's a lot of times you can't hunt the fastball. You're not going to see one, and if you do see one, it's not going to be for a strike. So you have to be able to handle, and especially a guy like you, who was in the middle of the lineup. I mean, you know, you're an RBI guy too. You're going to get pitched toughest in the lineup, and you're going to get a lot more off-speed stuff. So you got to get proficient at handling that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Cause you're going to see, 50% of the time or maybe a little less, you're going to see that something spinning, something, a change up or whatever.
Here's another thing. Pay attention to the guys on the mound right now. Pay attention to the modern guys. Yeah, they throwing the shit out of it. Yeah, they throw a 96 and 97, whatever they're supposedly throwing. But when they need to throw a strike, they throw a breaking ball.
They're spinning it. Exactly.
Instead of looking 96, 97, how about looking 85 breaking ball and whacking that son of a gun?
Yeah, you're right, man, because they are. They're spinning it more. I was like, velo. Guys are throwing breaking ball stuff more now than they ever did. So if you're saying, these guys are throwing harder, yeah, but they're throwing, I think, fastballs less than ever in the game today.
Hey, look, I have arguments with some of our guys. I'm like, why are we throwing so many breaking balls, but yet we're calling fastball up?
Right.
You want the breaking ball to be down, but you want the fastball to be up. So now you're teaching guys to get the ball down with the breaking stuff, but the fastballs they want up. So now when they make a mistake with the fastball, it's down. It's not up because you teach everything else down. If you make a mistake down out over the plate, those balls get P-laid. And that's what you're seeing in the major leagues right now.
Yeah, that's so true, man. That's so good. Such good stuff. Hey, people ask me all the time, brother, best conversation at first base. Can you give us one or two conversations that you had that you're like, man?
Yes, I can. I got one for you. Yeah. All right. So my man, I love him to death, Ricky Henderson. Ricky gets down to first base. All right. And we played the Oakland A's a bunch in spring training, and we're in spring training in Oakland. Ricky does his thing, gets down to first base, and Tony La Russa puts the hold sign on. He wants Canseco and McGuire to swing the bat. And you can just see Ricky's getting pissed down there. And by the way, Ricky talked in the third person. He goes, "Thrill, Ricky here." I go, "Yeah, I know, Rick. You're standing next to me." So anyway, you fast forward a few more pitches, and Ricky's standing there, and he goes, "Thrill, Ricky getting pissed. Ricky want to run." And I'm like, "Go ahead, run, Rick." So he waits another pitch or so, and he comes back. He goes, "Thrill, hell with this. Ricky gone." I'm like, all right. So I looked in the dugout and I said, "He's running." And then so sure enough, Ricky takes off. We pitch out, bad throw. Ricky slides in safe. He gets up and he turns around and he's squatting. He's pointing at me. He's going, "I told you, Thrill. Ricky gone. Ricky gone."
That's so great.
That's my Ricky Henderson story. That's just some of the silly crap that goes on at first.
That's so great, dude. I told you, Thrill, Ricky gone. So Jason LaRue said Ricky would come to the plate, and Jason LaRue was our catcher back with the Reds. He said he'd swing and miss the pitch. He said, "Well, come on, Ricky, don't swing at that pitch. Ricky, don't swing at that pitch."
He talked third person. He'd be down at first base talking third person. I'm like, "Rick, who you talking to?" He goes, "Oh, Thrill, Ricky talking to Ricky."
Oh my gosh, dude. Incredible. Thrill, man. It has been an absolute honor, brother, to come on with Chinch and I, man. We're so grateful. And, you and Burnsy are still doing your thing. Everybody who's listening for us, check out Thrill and Eric Burns Tuesday nights on Deuces Wild on No Filter. What an incredible show you guys have been doing. And, dude, I'm glad you're doing your thing out there, with the Squirrels and with the Giants. And love you tons, man. I'm so grateful for the influence you've had on me and a generation, brother, of players that played this game because of the way you played it, and looking forward to seeing you here soon, man.
Right back at you, Case, man. I really appreciate you having me on the show. You did a great job as usual, man. You're the best. That's why they call you the mayor. And man, I love you to death. I love you as a ball player. I love you as a friend. And if you ever need me on the show, give me a holler.
We will, dude. Thanks so much, Thrill. Good luck, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bro.
See you, buddy. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Well, that was your idol. You just interviewed your idol, Sean. How about that?
What's funny, man? I literally was just telling my daughter, Carly, I'm like, listen, I know I'm 48 years old and stuff like that, but like doing the interview today, I said it at the beginning, he was literally the reason I wanted to play college baseball. I wanted to play big league baseball because of Will Clark. And there's a lot of guys, even Eric Burns is the same way. He was his idol growing up. And dude, I just am so grateful for him, and to have him on inside the mayor's office with you, bro, and just to have him those stories. What a great dude! Like just an incredible guy. The story about him walking away from baseball. Yeah, his son Trey needs him at home. His wife needs him at home. Baseball. For me, he's a Hall of Fame guy. Hopefully, the Veterans Committee get it right and get him in at some point. But like I said, a 137 OPS plus, playing a candlestick, greater than 108 Hall of Famers that are in Cooperstown. That OPS plus. So, just a awesome moment for me, dude. I know for you too. I know you're a big Will Clark fan, and what an unbelievable guy, dude. He could flat out rake. And you want to talk about clutch? The most clutch player maybe to ever play the game. That's how legit he was.
He was amazing. That was awesome. I don't even. I got nothing to add to this. I'm gonna go call my dad. I'm gonna go call my dad. And so we just interviewed Will Clark. That's really what I'm gonna do right now. That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
You should. And Chinch, you know what, dude? I forgot to bring this up, but when I was in high school, bro, you could go to Toys R Us and get these little flip books. They didn't have video back then where you could just
what you're
YouTube.
Talking about.
Dude, I had a flip book of Mickey Mantle and Will Clark, and I used to be on the bus ride going to something, and it was like the flip book was almost like a cartoon, and it was Will's swing, and I would flip it and watch his swing against Maddox in the 89 NLCS when he went deep at Wrigley, and that flip book was everything to me, and it was just incredible, dude. The swing was so sweet, the thrill, baby, the Batman finish, it was beautiful.
Everything, even standing, everything about him was anything. Stickball or wiffle ball, you had to be Will Clark at least one at bat every time. Back in the day. Not even
kidding me, dude. Dude, I tried to emulate, closed stance, up here, wagon. Yeah, he was the best, man. Wow. He was the best.
All right, well, thanks for setting that up, man, and thanks to Burns, he helped us out a little bit.
That was awesome, yeah, dude, awesome. Yeah, Burns, thank you, brother, and awesome, Chinchy. Yeah, love you, brother, and thanks for everybody listening. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did, because Ricky told the thrill. I told you, thrill. I told you I was gone. Love it. All right, brother, I'll see you, Chinchy. Love you, buddy. See you tomorrow.